Welcome back, everybody, to the Varsity Squad Show. Hey, guys, I'm your host, Sheldon.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Landon.
How we doing, guys? How was your guys' weekend?
It was great, man. It's a beautiful weekend. It was nice outside. Spent a lot of time outside, too. Saw some basketball.
Good.
Excited that season's back up and running.
I'm super excited. It's just starting, but already some great games already. Some great performances. Landon, but what about you?
It was pretty relaxing. Just wrapped on Saturday.
Just a few hours,
And
right?
Yeah, and then Sunday got to watch my Bengals win.
Good.
So that's another upside.
More than I could do. Watch my Broncos lose again. Guys, but I got to ref all day Saturday, Friday night, and I had a great weekend. A lot of games. Last week all the games got canceled pretty much, so thankfully we played them all through. We played, the CAA playoffs. We'll talk about this later on the show, but great weekend full of football. Now, guys, we're going to jump right into our AIA recap. Daniel, tell us about some of those games that happened Friday night.
All right. In the AIA football, number 5 Pinnacle survived a close game against number 21 Brophy Prep, winning 18-14. Millennium handled Verado, winning 24-7. Higley left Mesquite in the dust, absolutely destroying them 64-0. And number 6 Saguaro beat number 10 Highland 27-10. Now, Sheldon's going to tell us about the CAA.
All right, guys. James Madison Prep smoked Tela Bend to end their season 46-22. Ajo beat Berean Academy 24-14. And Imagine Surprise had no problem beating Canyon State Academy, winning 50-14. El Dorado played Heritage Academy Maricopa and beat them 34-16. Now, guys, this is the end of the CAA regular season. That was the last, set of games, and
Nice.
a lot of blowouts to end the season for a lot of these teams. So hopefully none of those winning, teams that were going to make the playoffs. That's how their season ended, with a blowout loss. Hopefully not, but definitely some great games in the AIA. I do want to talk about the Mesquite game first. I was with actually some officials on Saturday that ref that Mesquite game, and they won 64-0 with their backups in. They had their backups in the entire second half, and they were still scoring. It's like, you never want to see a team run up the score. You want to have good sportsmanship, and you want to have respect for the school and not just to embarrass them. But when you're putting your backups in, you can't say, hey, you guys can't score.
Yeah,
You guys need to drive all the way down and fumble the ball on purpose, or don't knee at the end zone. You don't tell them that. If you catch an interception, you're going to run it back. You're not going to knee it.
You can't tell your players
But
that.
64-0. I mean, that's pretty bad.
Shout out to the backups that still kept going.
Oh, I know. I mean, great for them for next season. You know what I mean? Showing what they can do. Playing hopefully they're not seniors and it's the last year. Hopefully they can start next year on varsity and do that to every team. Any surprises with some of those games that we just listed?
I mean, I was surprised that Brophy kept it close.
Brophy is 1-5, and they're still in the top 25. I don't know how they're there.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I mean, it's because their history of them being a team is it's kind of like Saguaro. They're 3-3, and they were in the 5 spot still. And it's kind of thing we're thinking 3-3, and you're top 5 in the state. I think with Brophy Prep, it's a similar situation, but they kept it close.
Yeah.
I mean, 18-14 is a really
18-14 against the number 5.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Right. And then Saguaro had that big win. What do you guys think about that against Highland?
They're defending their spot. I mean, they got to. They lose that, they're gonna drop. Highland's moving up.
And Landon, do you think Saguaro's playing for something at this point? They lost 3 games back to back to back. Now they're on a roll.
I mean, they probably are going for a playoff run at most.
Right.
Because
They can't lose. I
Yeah,
mean, they just can't
because-
lose. They play in a tough division.
if they lose, I mean, they're going to drop, and then their playoff chances are going to decrease probably. So, I mean, but what about that Millennium game? I mean, I didn't expect
it to be a blowout like that.
That bad. So, I mean, Millennium coming out there and putting 24 points up on them and allowing 7. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I
and
think
Verado.
Millennium is looking like a very strong team this year.
Yeah, I believe they're 4-3 now, which is they've played some some really tough teams this year.
Yeah.
They played Centennial. They've played some of those top teams that they've kept it close with, but to play a division rival and to beat them 24-7, of course I went to Millennium. You guys know I went to Millennium, so I was like, of course you blew them out. But really, I don't think anybody saw that coming. Verado, again, was a team you played throughout the summer in the sevens, and they have some serious talent over there at Verado. And, for them to get blown out by their rival, not a good look for them. And I believe it was at Verado, too, so it's even more embarrassing.
Home.
But, that happens. It happens.
I'm sure the division rivalry has something to do with the Millennium. Was like, hey,
yeah,
we own the division.
And the thing is, they have my freshman year, I believe Millennium beat Verado in the varsity game, and every year I feel like they did.
Yeah.
And usually they played them at the beginning of the season. Usually that's how they kicked off the year, was playing Verado. But this year, obviously, it's the end of the season. Now, how many weeks left, Landon?
3.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks left, and then do you guys have a playoff spot right now if you were to win out?
If we win this week, then we are the top of our region.
Really?
So we lost to Canyon View.
Okay.
But Apollo beat Canyon View. So if we beat Apollo this week, then we have the top region spot.
Yeah, and that Apollo team is something to watch out for. Adam Muhammad, he got the Cardinals Player of the Week. We talked about his stats throughout the year. That huge, 500, 400-yard game?
Yeah,
it was something crazy, something stupid. And him beating Canyon View like that, Canyon View is another serious team. They just smoked you guys. No offense to your team, but Canyon View smoked you guys. And then you got to play Apollo this week. That's going to be a tough matchup. But if you guys, your defense has been great all year. If you guys can hold Adam under 100 yards, you have a serious chance as long as you guys can score. Score. Now, will Calvin be back this Friday? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure he will.
Okay.
But it's all depending on how he feels about his shoulder.
Right. Because, Roman did play great against,
he did.
Agua Fria.
Yeah, I think he was 7 for 11.
7 for 11?
7 for 11 for
so.
You guys had a running game, though. So you didn't throw the ball a lot.
He was 7 for 11 for, I think, 1 touchdown and 150 yards.
Yeah. So, when the coach needed him to, throw the ball, he did a good job. Shout out to Roman. And can't wait to see how the end of the AIA season plays out. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of upsets this year, a lot of games where it's like, wow, I can't believe that was so close, or I can't believe that was such a blowout. But I'm excited to see where these teams end up at the end of the season, and I can't wait to see this playoff bracket for the CAA once it's made. Later in the week we'll know a little bit more about that. Now, guys, that's gonna wrap up our CAA and AIA recap. Up next, we're gonna talk about our Cardinals Player of the Week. So don't go away. Welcome back, guys. Now it's time to present our Week 7 Cardinals Player of the Week. Now, guys, this award is voted on by Cardinals defensive lineman Corey Peters, former high school coach Kelly Epley, 12 News Sports anchor Cameron Cox, former 12 News Sports anchor Bruce Cooper, high school broadcaster Michael Carantuno, and AZ Central writer Richard Obert. Now, each award is given and certified and signed by NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell, head coach Cliff Kingsbury, our Cardinals cheerleading staff, and of course our team mascot Big Red. Now for Week 7, we want to give this award to James Giggy from Bradshaw Mountain High School. Now James has been a wrecking crew on the defense this year, totaling 61 tackles in just 6 games, which is already more than the 60 he had last year in 11 games. Now this award was awarded to him in an impressive game against Mingus. Bradshaw won the game 41-0. James had 14 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, and was a centerpiece of a defense that held Mingus to just 130 total yards. Guys, what do you guys think? I mean, 41-0, he held him to 130 yards. That's pretty strong defensive game for them. And James was 14 tackles. You know what I mean? What do you guys think?
What was that? How many total was that? 61 in 6 games.
And 60 last year with the 10 regular season and the playoff game they played.
And already beat that.
Oh yeah.
Still got a couple more weeks left.
Oh yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. He's a force on defense. He's scary.
Yeah. and they're looking pretty good this year. I believe they're 4-2 or 4-3, Bradshaw Mountain, but it's a better record than they had last year. And he's a junior this year, so he's got another year. But he's 6'4". Okay, that's one thing I saw when I was looking through the award and reading all about him. He's 6'4" and like 260 pounds. He's huge. He's a huge guy, and I wouldn't want to mess with him if I'm a running back, receiver, quarterback, O-lineman. I wouldn't want to block this guy. I mean, 6'4", he's a junior. I don't know any 6'4" juniors. Very, very impressive. What does it mean for that team to have a guy like them on defense?
I mean, for the offense, that's nice because that means you don't have to worry about shootouts.
Right, and you never want to say, we don't have to score every time because our defense will handle it. But that may be the case. They don't need to score every drive because they know their defense is going to do a great enough job to hold whoever they're playing down. I mean, 130 yards, that's pretty bad for 4 quarters of football. To only get 130 yards, I mean, pretty rough. Now, Landon, what do you think?
First off, I think 61 tackles in the season is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I think it's jaw-dropping because, 10
a game.
10 a game, averaging 10 a game.
I mean, that itself is crazy because usually a player averages at least like 6 tackles a game, 7 tackles a game.
Yeah.
So he's doing 10 every game, which is...
He just had 14.
I mean, that's...
He went above and beyond that mark.
And being 6'4".
Yeah. It's almost like no wonder he's getting those tackles because he's got such a big reach, big wingspan. Now, guys, this award, the Cardinals Player of the Week, they do this for every NFL team. What are the benefits of this award for these kids? Because one thing I noticed is each high school is getting love. Bradshaw Mountain, I mean, they're not a 5 or 6A school, and they're getting love from the Cardinals. What do you guys think about that and the benefit all these NFL teams are doing for these schools?
I think that's awesome because the NFL has a lot of eyes on them.
Oh yeah,
obviously, millions of people are going to watch these teams, and shining a light on these players, whether they're from a big school or not, I think that's amazing because it should be shown. These type of performances should be known and talked about because they're super impressive, dude.
Yeah, I agree, and I like what you said. I like what you said about small school, big school. They deserve if they have a great game, they deserve the recognition, no matter how they get it. And certainly, if I'm from a 2A school and I get recognition from the Cardinals, an NFL team, that I was a Player of the Week across Arizona, what an honor! I mean, what an honor. They do the Coach of the Week as well, which I think is fantastic. But it's even more awesome for those players that get it because that could be the highlight of their high school career. They may never have a winning record. They may never make it to the playoffs. They may never play college football. But to say that, hey, I was a Cardinals Player of the Week one week in high school, that's something they'll be able to tell their kids when they're an adult, tell their grandkids, and that's something they'll remember the rest of their lives. So I'm glad that Arizona does it. All these NFL teams do it, and I just think it's something that I hope they continue because I think it's just awesome. Now, Landon, do you think some point any player on your team, maybe even you, could get that award? Because it's a tough award to get. I mean, I will say that.
If anything, one of our players would have to put up big stats in the game.
Brady Ferris, I feel like, was close a couple weeks ago with how well he played. But again, this award is, you only get one player for a week.
One player in the whole state.
Right, out of 6 divisions plus the open division. So definitely because you have great performances almost every game you can highlight a player for his performance. But shout out to those voters because they have a tough job picking that guy because they can say, "Oh, this guy threw 400 yards. Well, this guy threw 7 touchdowns. What's more important?" And then you got to say, "Well, this guy on defense held him to 0 points, like James did." So, it's again, glad they do that.
Yeah, and they highlight both sides pretty evenly so far.
Maybe one day we'll get a kicker who kicks like 8 field goals or something. Wouldn't that be something? Now, guys, that's gonna wrap up our Cardinals Player of the Week. Up next, we're gonna have a CAA report on some games that happened over the weekend. So don't go away. Alright guys, welcome back. Now I want to do a CAA report on some games that happened over the weekend. Now first, I want to talk about the Western School of Science against Harvest Yuma game that I had. I was on that game to end my referee season, if you want to call it that. And guys, this was the best game I officiated all season. Neither team was going to make the playoffs with the win, but the competitive spirit of both teams was as if they were playing for the championship game. Now throughout the game it was very back-to-back, scoring 8 points, 8 points, 8 points. With a lot of long touchdown runs scored. Now late in the game, Western School of Science tied the game to make it 28-28 and had a chance to win the game with an extra point. But it was a pass play and the kid just hit right through his hands. A lot of pressure. And he couldn't catch it. Couldn't convert the extra point, which forced the game into overtime. Now both teams in overtime are going to get the chance, to have the ball. So if you score first, it's not like the NFL where the game's over. Both teams get it. And both teams did just that. They scored first. Got their extra points. It was, now it's 36-36. And now the Western School of Science, they got the ball in the second overtime to start. They put up another 8 points. And Harvest got the ball, second in the second overtime. Scored 6 and got sacked on their extra point. And the game was over. 44-42, double overtime game. And the best game I've seen in CAA for a long, long time, and certainly the best game I've officiated in a long time because it was such a clean game. There was not a lot of penalties. Both teams were very, very respectful. And for that game to end, even though both teams aren't making the playoffs, it was awesome. They had senior night that night at Western School of Science School, and they had a carnival across the field, and they had all this stuff going on. And on the football field, great game was played. Now we want to talk about our CAA High School Flag Championships, in which, of course, I was there too. There was 8 teams playing. These teams included EVAC, which is East Valley Athletes for Christ, Skyline Gila River, Academy with Community Partners, we had Edgy Prize Gilbert, we had Leading Edge Academy East Mesa, we had Ridgeline Academy, Maricopa Institute of Technology, the Jones Gordon School, and let's just say that no one stood a chance at beating EVAC. EVAC began their night by beating Skyline River 48-6, then beating Eduprise Gilbert in the semifinal 42-0. And then at the end of the night, the championship was played between EVAC and Leading Edge Academy East Mesa, with EVAC getting a 40-7 win. 40-7. It was close at the beginning. It was 12-7 early on in the game, with Leading Edge getting a couple stops, but they couldn't hang with them. Now, Landon, you were at the game. Let's check out that interview you had.
So, how does it feel when it's back-to-back?
It feels good, but it's actually, this is fun.
Five? That's super crazy. So how does that feel?
It feels good. It feels really good. And what's fun is to watch the culmination of, we have a lot of seniors here, guys who played through our junior high program, multiple years on varsity. So to watch 8 years, 6 years, guys coming up, some guys whose older brothers got to play in championship games here. So there may be even some little guys out here who are ready to get onto this team someday.
How did you prepare?
Well, defense wins championships. That's what we always say. So,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thanks a lot.
Good job, guys!
Hey guys, what a weekend of CAA football. I'm very blessed to be able to officiate those games and see some good football played. And shout out to EVAC. I mean, this is something they do each year. I mean, I hate to see a blowout in the championship because you always want that. I mean, I'd love to see an overtime championship game. That's so fun. Mm-hmm. But, it's fun for EVAC because they won 40-7. But they were playing a younger team, which that team in a few years, Leading Edge, they're going to be very, very good. They had a lot of, freshmen, sophomore-type kids. Give them a couple years, they're going to be fantastic because they did hold, EVAC to a couple stops. Made them punt a couple times early in the game, and I'm like, maybe we have a game? I don't know. Now, of course, you had the interview with the coach. He's a nice dude, great coach. He loves his job. One thing I was talking about with the referees is, because we've known this guy for a while. Every year he says, this is my last year. This is my last year. Lo and behold, week 1 comes around and he's always there because he just loves it. He loves the kids. He loves coaching, and they love him because they always win. They got the top tier talent. They had some kids that are just grown men. You saw a couple kids out there. They're just bigger than everybody else. It's like no wonder they're so good because you just throw it to them. It's an automatic touchdown, extra point, whatever it is. Any surprises in the bracket play? We knew EVAC was undefeated, so
yeah, EVAC pretty much wiped the board clean on this one.
Yeah,
not a lot of competition against them. But that's the close for the CAA.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a good finish to the season.
Oh yeah, and again, this is another very clean game, not a lot of penalties. And I love officiating, but that doesn't mean I like throwing flags. I don't like throwing flags because you have to stop the game, and it's because someone did something wrong. And we always think, well, players don't commit penalties. The refs are just bad. Incorrect. Penalties happen because it's part of football, part of basketball, whatever sport. Things happen. But I want to talk about that Western School of Science game again. 44-42, double overtime. What an end to the season.
Yeah, with the sack.
Oh yeah, with the sack at the end of the game, and it was actually a really, really good play. The quarterback for Harvest, he rolled out to the left and was looking like he's about to throw the ball into the end zone, and he just wrapped around the ankles, took him down. And I was like, of course the game was over at that point, but I'm like, man, I would have minded to go a few more overtimes. It's fun, you know what I mean? 28-28 at the end of regulation. The ending score is 44-42. You keep going, you're gonna have 60 points. That could have happened.
It's a great game.
Could have happened. And Harvest Yuma ends their season 1-7. But who cares if you end a season like that? Because Western School of Science, they're not gonna make the playoffs, but they're, I think, 4-4. They're not a bad team by any means. They started 0-3, so they were able to really close out their season in a strong way with a strong win. But I really thought Harvest was going to pull up the upset, and they were so close. So close. And again, there's a lot of long runs that game. I was really winded after the game because I was going from from 25-yard line to the end zone multiple times. But, it's all good. And I'm just excited for those seniors who, though they may have lost the game for Harvest if they were seniors, you know what I mean? They get to end it in a great game, a great fashion. Yeah. They were very respectful kids, both sides. There was no beef, there was no nothing, and again, a very, very clean game for really all of football I did this weekend. Now, guys, that's going to wrap up our CAA recap for the weekend. Up next, our In the Big Leagues Pro Sports Report, so don't go away. Welcome back, guys. Now it's time for our In the Big Leagues Pro Sports Report. Let's start things off with our Sun Scoop. Well, guys, the Suns are currently 2-1 after a dominating win against the Clippers last night. Booker had a great night, scoring 35 points, hitting 13 of his 21 shots and going 5 for 9 three-pointers. Kawhi Leonard only playing 21 minutes. He had the injury last year, which put him out for the season. Still recovering, had 11 points. And the Suns defense held him to just 11 points on 2 for 6 shooting. Now, they will face the defending champs tomorrow right here in the Valley with the Warriors. Now, guys, Devin Booker, 35 points, 13 for 21. Pretty great.
He's had a solid start.
Solid start. Season. But you guys know who hasn't had a solid start? Chris Paul. 7 points last night. What do you guys think? I mean, he's averaged 8 this year. Now, he's still doing what he can, passing the ball. He's 10 assists. He's second in the league right now in assists. But he's averaging 8 at the point guard position, and he's playing 30-plus minutes a game. Is that a problem?
I think at some point that is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
The scoring needs to be happening all around. It can't just be Booker. That's not going to get it done, especially against good teams, and especially in the playoffs, obviously.
Right.
That'll never get it done.
And, DeAndre Ayton, he's going to be leaned on, too, as that third best player on the team. But, he hasn't shown that he can put up 30 a game. He's not, because he can't really shoot. He's not like, Karl Anthony Towns who can put up 30 at the center position. He's a true big man. He's going to get the rebound. He's going to dunk the ball. He's going to post up in the paint. But he can't do that all the time, especially against, tough defenders like Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, those type of guys, all the time at least. So Chris Paul's got to step up big time. And, I do want to say last year, Game 7 against the Pelicans, he was 15 for 15, if you guys remember. And they won that game. They won the series, and he was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And the Maverick series, he kind of disappeared. And he really hasn't shown up. Early in the preseason this year, he was scoring 6 or 7 points. And we're thinking, well, it's preseason. He doesn't need to score a lot of points because these games don't really count. He's just trying to get his mojo back. And he hasn't found it. 3 games into the season, he hasn't scored over 15 points. So I think you know what I mean?
It's looking a little rough.
It's only 3 games. The Lakers are 0-3, and I don't think anybody's hit the panic button yet, but it's close for them. But Chris Paul he's got to score the ball more.
Yeah.
And it's not like he needs to take more shots because I think he was 2 for 7. I think the other last, So he needs to take more shots because he is a shooter. He can shoot the ball. He gets to that little elbow spot, money.
Oh yeah.
Money, that's a shot. Mid-range jumper, that's a shot. It's been a shot his entire career. He just hasn't found it this year. And I hope he does because Devin Booker's been on his game. I can't imagine if they were both off because then the Suns are no better than, the Kings or something it's a bad team like that. So do you guys think he's going to turn it around?
I mean, if he doesn't, somebody else on the team has to step up.
Right.
Because those points got to come from
Damian Lee, possibly the guy who closed out the game against the Mavericks.
Yeah, that was actually a good call by the coach too.
Oh, great call, but he hasn't. I mean, I was thinking he's going to get more minutes game 2, game 3 of the season, and Damian Lee hasn't done what he didn't do. He hasn't done what he did in the first game, but that's not saying he can't. Now, let's talk about those Coyotes, Daniel.
Ooh, all right. Now they got an awesome start to the season. By awesome, we mean awful, man. As we've stated before, the Coyotes had a rough season last year, going 25, 50, and 7. And the new season so far has shown no improvement, as they have played 5 games so far and have a 1-4 record. Last year they finished 8th in the Central West Division, and that's exactly where they are right now. 8th, last place of the Central West Division. This week they're going to have a chance to make their record 500, playing 3 games against the Blue Jackets, the Jets, and the Rangers.
Man, Coyotes. They've been pretty bad the last few years, we can say that.
Last bunch of years.
Now, it's only 5 games in the season, many more to go.
Mm-hmm.
Could this be a worse season than last? I mean,
No.
they didn't go out in the off season and do a whole bunch of stuff, but
Nah, it can't be worse, man. They can't.
maybe
let it
around
be
the same.
worse.
Maybe around the same. You think? Maybe they could prove us all wrong and just have a great season, be the first place team by the end of the year, and we'll say, hey,
Ooh, that'd be
they're gonna win. They're gonna
great.
win the Stanley Cup, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen.
If anything, they lose all 3 games.
Oh, I hate to see it, but it could happen. It could happen. Now, guys, in the last 10 years, the Coyotes have made the playoffs just once, and they lost the series. And the last 10 years, they've had a 40% win ratio. They're winning 40% of their games in the last 10 years. That's pretty rough. Do you guys think in the future? I mean, the Suns were really that bad just a few years ago too. The Suns a couple seasons ago had 19 wins.
Yeah, they were the worst.
So we can't talk about like the Suns were always good and every year we think they're going to make the championship because this is a new thing for the Suns. Could the Coyotes be that team in a few years? You think?
I'm not seeing it.
No.
I'm not seeing it just because it's starting off 1-4, and I mean, it's just I've always seen the Coyotes as a bad team. I'm just
It's
gonna
because
say
they've been bad.
yeah. So I mean, I'm not really seeing any improvement in the next couple of years.
And I talked about the last time we talked about him. Not that this has anything to do with it, but Arizona ice doesn't last very long. Maybe that's the only excuse they have. It's Arizona. It's hot here. Ice isn't. It's a little different sliding on the ice here, which it's not a fact because they're indoors.
Yeah,
But it's if I'm talking to anybody out, talking to somebody up in Canada, that's what I'm going to say. Hey, it's hot here. They're swimming out there. They're not skating. So that's the only excuse we can go with. But 1-4, if we can make it back to 500, maybe we got something here. But the chances of it happening, 40% chance for that. So.
Very low, very, very low. I hope at least in the next couple of years they can turn it around.
Yeah.
If not, maybe we might not even have a hockey team in Arizona.
I'd rather have no hockey team than a really, really bad one. So I'd be okay with it. But again, we'll just have to wait and see, guys.
Yeah.
Now that's going to wrap up our In the Big Leagues Pro Sports segment. It's also going to wrap up our show today. A lot of great games happening lately. We got a lot of games happening this week. Our CAA playoffs starting on Friday, and another week of AIA football, of course. And we got volleyball, soccer throughout the week. So if you guys can make your way out to some of those schools, check out those games, I encourage you to do so. If not, we cover them here, so you can just tune into our show right here on the Varsity Squad Show on HYFN TV Network. We'll see you guys next time.